Welcome to Home Biz Tax Talk. My name is Lysandra Everett. I am the Home Biz Tax Lady, where I help home business owners win the tax game. Home Biz Tax Talk airs Monday through Friday, 9 o'clock-ish. And when you tune into my show, you're going to hear about topics that are important to home business owners. Okay, let's get down with talking about cyber insurance, okay? Now, yesterday, I was talking to my insurance agent, checking my coverage and all of that, and we really got to talking. I'm glad I got a good agent that, took a few minutes to talk to me and really share with me about cyber insurance and just some of the details that you need to know, like really understand when it comes to cyber insurance. So what's it for? So cyber insurance is in the event that you experience a data breach or a hack. Now you hear about the big ones, right? You heard about Equifax. So when you hear about some large company getting hacked, you definitely hear about it. But what really doesn't hit the news is the smaller mom and pop type businesses that get hacked. And the truth is that there are more smaller businesses that get hacked than the larger businesses, like the larger corporations. I guess those are like trophies in the hacking world. But anyway, that's just the world according to Lysandra. So I wanted to come on and talk about it because in this online space, you have people who sell their own products, have their own, online businesses, online, marketing stores, whether it's an Etsy store or something, e-commerce stores, just all different types of ways to sell your goods and wares online, not really keeping in mind or not really knowing about the whole data breach thing and like what happens with all of that. So it usually takes quite a few months for people to figure out that they've been hacked. I saw a statistic that said that it generally takes about it can take up to a year to figure out that you've been hacked. And, then that's taking longer. It used to be like 200 days or something like that. But now it can take up to a year for somebody to figure out that they've been hacked. And so, then the question is, what protections do you have in place? Because see, when you think about someone getting hacked, like with the Equifax data breach, right? They had to provide credit monitoring and all of that kind of thing, right? Okay. So you think about how many people you actually come into contact with in this online space. I saw another statistic that said when you have a data breach, it costs approximately $150 per record. Now, the thing that struck me is what constitutes a record, okay? So we're talking about personally identifiable information. That includes your name, address, email address, phone number, of course, social security number, date of birth, that kind of thing. So if you have that for somebody, if you have personally identifiable information for somebody, that constitutes as a record, okay? So you think about if you are in the business of quoting people before they do business with you. So you think about how many times you've quoted people, how many phone calls you've made, all of those things. You think about your calendar scheduling, right? If you use a software like Calendly or Acuity and they put those records into your phone, you think about how many contacts are in your phone. Think about how, like, even with Facebook, right? They want to sync your address book on your phone with your Facebook friends and all that. I don't do that because I don't need all these people in my phone. But you think about all these people. You think about the 5,000 friends if they were synced to your phone, okay? So all of those counts as records. And so if you think about if you had to spend 150, let's do some quick math. So 150 times 5,000 friends, that's $750,000. Okay? So when you experience a data breach, you're talking about every record that you have of people that you have come into contact with, that you need to notify these people that you have had a data breach and their personally identifiable information may have been exposed. And so then you have to provide that credit monitoring service and all. Can you imagine that? And so if you are in this online marketplace and you're selling your goods and whatnot on the internet, whether you're using your blog, whether you're using, like I said, one of the other platforms, you have to protect yourself. You need to be getting some cyber insurance like today. Like seriously today, because the flip side of all of that is if you don't and then you experience a breach and it's traced back to you, then you're open to a lawsuit. People can sue you. Okay. I just heard about a case where a guy had his phone with AT&T, excuse me. And somehow his phone got hacked twice. He lost a whole lot of cryptocurrency too. It was ugly. But you think about that. And so now somehow the hackers got to his phone information through AT&T. So now he's going back to sue AT&T for at least the amount of cryptocurrency that he lost based on that hack. And it was to the tune of millions of dollars. So when you're selling online, you have people's information. You've got their names, you've got addresses, you've got phone numbers. And so if your systems are hacked, what systems, what programs do you have in place to say, this is how I'm going to respond to a data breach? Do you have cyber insurance so that in the event that this does happen to you, you are covered with some insurance? And the guy was telling me, I have my list over here. Let me grab my list. Hold on, you guys. I have my whiteboard. And so one of the things that he was saying is that, if basically, you have to, the insurance, let me get my mind right. The insurance, it provides the credit monitoring. It provides a forensic person that comes and basically tracks your stuff to see how the breach happened. They provide call center activity. So when people are calling about, hey, we got this letter, because you got to send letters to people and tell them that you got hacked. And so when you get these calls, then you're going to have to be able to field these calls. If you think about, again, the 5,000 friends that might be synced on your phone from Facebook, that you got to tell all these people that you've been hacked, right? That's going to cost a pretty penny. So, the insurance, it can provide the credit monitoring and all that. So I highly encourage you, if you are selling online, that you better go get your whole cyber insurance life together, okay? Because again, I'm going to put my whiteboard down here. Because again, the prevention is going to be cheaper than the consequence. Okay? That's the truth, because you never know when this could happen to you. We don't hear about small businesses. We just hear about when the big people get hacked, right? You hear about, from your hospital, whatever, that their system could have been hacked and your information could be out there. We live in such an online global economy that we don't think about the consequences of, when these hacks happen, like if they can happen to us and our businesses. Okay. So you really need to sit down, like before this year is out, assess your whole potential for liability. What happens if your phone gets stolen and somebody hacks into your phone? What happens if you lose your laptop and you got information on your laptop? Okay. So these are the types of things that you have to worry about. Backing up your servers, having your systems backed up and your server in a completely separate place. Even if you get one of these, I don't have my external drive, but even if you get one of those 1 or 2 terabyte external drives, you need to have that in a separate secure place than with your computer. Like, these are all the things that that we have to go through to protect ourselves in the event that you do lose data. You've got to go through a data recovery process. That costs. You might have to hire an attorney if somebody sues you. That costs. So if you don't have all this insurance in place, the potential cost on the back end can be ugly. Okay? Because like I said, this study that was done, it was showing that I think last year it was $144 per record, and now it's up to $148. To me, that's $150. Okay. So you think about if you had to pay $150 to every person you ever talked to, quoted a price, even if they weren't your client, every person in your email address book, in your phone, if you had to pay $150 to each one of those people, what would that math look like for you? That conversation, even though I kind of had an idea of the whole cyber insurance data breach thing, that's why I was calling like, hey, let me know like how I'm uncovered and all this stuff. And he was like, okay, so really, how many records do you have? I was like, define records. He's like, no. We're not talking about clients. We're talking about records. Every person that you have ever quoted a price to. And my mouth fell to the floor because I was like, dude, that could be at least 1,000 people. He said, yeah. He said, for one person, you're about right. He said, but as you grow, as your business grows, your records are going to go into the millions. And so as you grow, you're going to need to increase your insurance. So and this is different from your errors and omissions insurance, right? If you're in that kind of industry, real estate, tax professionals, accounting, doctors, we're not talking about errors and omissions insurance. We're not talking about general liability where you might be, insuring your property or insuring a dwelling for your insurance. No, we're talking about data breach specific insurance because your general liability and your errors and omission does not cover data breach. Okay. Some business insurers, they offer those policies together, but a lot of them do it separate. So like I have a separate errors and omissions insurance and I have a separate cyber policy. There are some people that can group all that together. You just have to, call your insurance company and see what they do. But the takeaway from this is you think about how much revenue you're generating and then the amount of revenue that would be lost, because what happens in the case of a breach? Your customers lose confidence in you that you've protected their data. And so if you've gone through all the steps to protect their data, and something still happens, okay, yeah, they're still going to lose confidence in you. So you're talking about a loss of business. You're talking about a loss of, in that revenue in that respect. You're talking about a loss of revenue if you got to go provide credit monitoring for all of these people. Like, seriously. So cyber insurance is not something to be taken lightly. On these IRS streets, they are really beating this into the heads of people that own tax businesses to make sure that you have the cyber insurance, that you have a data breach response plan, a written plan in place to make sure that you have these things so that in the event a breach does happen, you already know what to do, you already know who to call, and you've got insurance to help cover you in the event that this happens to you. So this ain't nothing to play with, short and sweet. Okay. So thank you guys so much for tuning in to Home Biz Tax Talk. Again, we air Monday through Friday, 9 o'clock ish, and you can come here to get your questions answered about your home business taxes. All right. Have a great day. I'll see y'all next time. Bye.